other people are saying Tusker title favorites and stuff. It's something that you can't wash away because of the way they performed. They are one of the teams that are in form right now, and I think they'll have a big shout in the title race. I just hope they don't pair off the gas the way Montana does normally. But I think two good teams, two good coaches. They gave us some nice game, and definitely Nicola Major is doing amazingly at Tusker. I hope he replicates that in the national team.
We hope so. At least he got the call up. Those are the kind of players that we want to see in the national team. You know, he's there by merit. He's very young. You know, his story reads very well. Fresh from the village, Kina Victor, straight into a top tier team. Now playing for the national team. You know,
yeah, amazing.
That is stuff that dreams are made of. You know, you like to see young guys coming from the village, coming from the slums, and more shining, and that's quite a good journey for him. We hope he will make it in the world of football. For you, Victor, nice shot. Nipatie pia mimi nikupatia niko na Abana Baingo, original Abana Baingo. Unaona? Tukiexchange itakuwa sawa. Victor, can you exchange shots?
Jezi gani inafaa kuuza? Yeah, Jeff.
Yeah, Abana Baingo.
I don't know.
Anyway,
it's okay. It's okay. The problem is I can't support more than one team.
No,
I am just loyal to one team.
No, really, you support Orlando.
Zax can tell you that.
You can't say that you are not support two teams, yet you support Orlando Pirates.
Oh, in Kenya, I only support one team.
Okay, that now makes sense.
No, in Kenya, one team. In Kenya, one team. In South Africa, I'm a Pirates fan. That's it. That's pretty much the teams I support.
Anyway, Victor, what else caught your eye this weekend apart from, of course, the Mashemeji derby?
I think this weekend, Mashemeji derby took a toll on me,
yeah.
But I was watching, checking up on KCB, yeah. And also checking up on Wazito and Tusker.
Yeah.
I think Matano is doing a good job, especially in really making his side bounce back.
Yeah.
That's one of the teams that I'm more worried about always because they know how to play for the title. The others, I'm not sure about them, but Matano's win over Wazito was really something. And then KCB bounced back. Also, that was a concern. Their fine run is quite something currently. Though we beat them, but I would like most of these sides to drop a bit of more points so that they don't open a big gap. But we have to win our games and we have to do things our own way, personally, from that perspective.
You know, when you say we have to win your games, you must put a disclaimer. For the fans watching, when Victor says we must win our games, he's speaking on behalf of FC Leopards. Well, that said and done, Zax, we'll go straight into the Mashemeji derby. And we'll start by, of course, the issue of fans. There are no fans, in quotes, there are not so many fans in the pitch in the stadium due to COVID-19 guidelines. Do you think that affected the quality of the game that we saw?
Yeah, in a way also, definitely derbies will always be spiced up with fans. And I want to believe that the lack of fans a little bit derail the pomp and every other thing that are customers to a derby. And if you look well in the first half where God really dominated the game, I think if they were to have the 12th man on the stadium, I think we might have seen goals. The second half, definitely FC tried their best in nullifying all the strength and stuff. And that's, again, it's an area where fans play a bigger role. I don't want to pin this thing, the derby on fans too much too, because I think every team needs 40 fans, and there were more than 40 fans from each team. So I felt those who were there were enough to, spice up the game and stuff. even if they were not enough, derbies are derbies everywhere. It's not like I told you before this game that we've seen the derbies, the Orlando, the Soweto derby and stuff. It's just that still games that are pull at deadline and stuff. So I don't want to pin the lack of fans in the stadium on that lackluster performance from both sides.
And for you, Victor, I saw you shared a photo just a few minutes just before the game saying it's the first time the derby is being played without fans. There's no good atmosphere in the pitch. But well, Victor, for you, you've covered this KPL for
play a bigger role. I don't want to pin the performance from.
Zax, can
Yeah,
you
I've done that.
tell your better half to mute her laptop? Anyway, Victor, like I was saying, we've covered this derby for very many years, even when KPL was on an upward trajectory and when fans used to fill Nyayo Stadium during the derby. Fans used to fill even Kasarani during the derby. But I was left wondering when I saw your post that when you said this is the first time the Mashemeji derby is being played without fans, there's no good atmosphere. But even I was at the derby, I think the past two derbies, there's not so many fans, only a few stands were full. So was there any major difference between now and the previous two derbies which have been played with, I think, less than 10,000, not even 10,000 fans, at most 5,000 fans? I don't quite remember well, but what I'm trying to drive across is that even the previous derbies, there was not so many fans like the Esther years. What would you say about
that? I was at the stadium very early, and the kind of arrangement that was there, because from 9 o'clock when they were preparing to the security arrangements and everything that was in place, I could see the place was quiet. It's never that way. You could feel silence. By midday, there was no Isukuti drums. There was literally nothing. And I was like, I've never attended a match that is this quiet. For me, it's quiet when there is no Isukuti playing.
that?
That's a big deal. There is no Vuvuzela, there was nothing. Yes, Zach says there was some handful of fans, but we usually have an atmosphere that even scares a player. I know the other teams are used to playing with only their coaches and a couple of their friends cheering them. But for players who are used to a crowd, at least 2,500 on a bad day every time, it's just that Kasarani is too huge, 60,000. Even if we have 15,000 fans or so, like the last derby had almost 20,000 fans. But you see, we could still feel it was empty. So if we are looking at the numbers, maybe the thing is, Nyayo usually has an atmosphere because of its closeness and proximity. But this one was quiet. I was there the whole afternoon. You could walk up and down. You never have room to do that. You could leave your seat and then come back and find it. The other times it doesn't happen. So it was a quiet day. It was a quiet day for him.
Before I go back to Zax, Victor, do you think the lack of fans played a role in, it was not really a very exciting game, I'm sorry to say. Do you think that the lack of fans played a role in this? Probably it's just
I don't know
did
whether
you
would
enjoy
have.
the derby yourself?
For me, I enjoyed it because the idea was to avoid God beating us again. The thing is, tactically, with the way our team has been putting together in the pre-match analysis which we did on FCTV, I say that Leopards has a very tight defense against big teams. If you check statistically, in the last 1 year, since last season Leopards had 13 clean sheets. This season they've added the number. Only Ulinzi is a team that is having a better defensive record than Leopards cumulatively in the last 1 year calendar if we put together the number of matches. So that is something I knew going into the derby would be tight. And when I saw our formation 4-4-2 Diamond, I knew would lock out Gor. The game would look boring, but the longer Gor takes to score, the more they get worn out because they were the home team. And when Milimu started getting frustrated and the rest of Meguna was now just throwing around with the ball with this defense, looking like he's doing so much work. To me, that was okay. Let him play with his defenders as long as he's not harming us. So as the match wore on, I knew we grow stronger in the second half if we maintain the shape, which was done. Because in the previous match against Posta Rangers, the formation changed from the diamond and then we pivoted with two defensive midfielders. It put us under so much pressure. The coach didn't make the same mistake now when he brought in the wingers to now to do a more attacking 4-4-2. We maintained the same sort of one defensive midfielder and another one who is able to attack. So that's why we were able to contain Gor in the second half. They had only one shot on target. Unlike first half when they really raided us and put us under panic. So kudos to the lads. It was a fine game from a tactical end. If you wanted entertainment, sometimes entertainment has to be thrown out of the window for results. 1 point gained, pride restored. We look forward to second leg when their tourists will be being hounded out and we beat them properly and send him away.
Well, Zax, like I was telling you of the Victor is very happy with this result. And on a different platform, they were saying it's two Gor Mahia fans against him today. So it seems like he came prepared. Anyway, Zax, do you agree with Victor's analysis that FC Leopards came really prepared and tactically they were superior to Gor Mahia?
Yeah, I think Victor is right. When for someone who's watched God this season, we know well that most of their creativity is on Captain Muguna, and I think Modo did his homework well. We're going to have someone like Fabrice and Sichenja in a compact two. That's the midfield. When you are the rear guard, I think the rear guard was strong. They contained Muguna well, the way Victor says. He rarely had a sniff in the first half. In the second half, I think you have to give Modo the credit that he deserves. You see, when Victor says that they restored some sense of pride, yeah, I mean, at times the Jose Mourinho way, I mean, you don't like the style of play, but the grand results against an opponent that they're not beaten for quite some time now, I think it's a plus for them. It gives them some motivation. But again, I don't want to think they had their chances too. If Kimani had the honors of just changing a little bit of the tactic, because I felt Rupia was lost. You see, their main goal threat has been Rupia all season. So when you're going to talk about FC Leopards sniffing Gor out, I think you got to give credit to the Gor Mahia team too, because they barely played in the first half. They tried that in the second half, and I think the game could have been won by them in the second half. They had a better second half. But I just think Rupia just got lost. I think it was from maybe the tactics that the coach had deployed, or maybe just forgotten his roles when they were trying to open the game a bit. And kudos to the Gor Mahia defenders. So at times I felt they were pressed, but I think they contained the Leopards. Leopards are not just willing to play that much, the way Victor has said. And I'm glad for them. They mind their points. They're saying the game was away from home. We know Kasarani is anyone's home, but I want to believe they can build on that. And normally I do say a better performing FC Leopards is good for our league. So if they can build on that, I mean, it's not only that they deploy these such tactics against teams like Gor Mahia. If they can win games against other teams, we seeing Tusker winning, we seeing KCB winning. If they can draw Gor Mahia and beat the other teams again, I think the title race will be a bit enticing this season.
Well, Victor, you spoke about tactics, and Zax just said it's kudos to Coach Kim. Why is he now leaving the team after showing his tactical awareness and guiding the team to a draw against Gor Mahia? Why is he leaving when a new coach is coming? Is there anything? I know you cannot talk about it in as exclusive, as openly as we'd like you to do it because, of course, of your affiliation with the team. But do you think it's a loss for the club for the assistant coach to leave at this particular time of the season?
When you're trying to build a family like we're doing, Leopards is more of a family. If you look at the structure that we have, you can see how much we're blending in young players. Our average age is around 22, 23 years for our players. We've got students from high school who are now part of the team. Almost half of that team is made up of fellas we signed straight from high school now. So when you have a former player who is part of the team to instill the culture, that makes it even easier to get the guys going. We look at our youth team currently. So any loss we have from the playing unit to another, of course, is always a bit challenging to accept, but we wait and see how things unfold. And then from there, we can now make a decision and see what happens next.
You still haven't answered my question. Is it a big loss? Is it a big loss for you as a team, or do you think you guys are good to go now? You said you have a good team, and I agree. You have youngsters who are coming up well. There's chemistry in the team. FC Leopard is now a family. But now, even a simpler question now. Then I know you're trying to evade the question. Who takes over from Kim as the assistant coach, and do you think the club has made the right choice in appointing Patrick Austin as the head coach?
Of course, the club has made the right choice. Our management will always try to push for the right choices. Forgive my flickering light. Maybe it's telling me not to speak so much. So I will just say our management has made the right choices. I personally stand by what the office passes. It's for the best interest of the club. And so we wait for official communication on any other issues that are existing. I'll pass certain. I may or may not comment on a certain.
That is
some of the questions.
That's such a PR statement, but I get where you're coming from. Zax, what's your take on the appointment of Patrick Ausems as the head coach at FC Leopards? We've seen people terming him as a carpenter. Seems like every white coach that comes to Africa now has to embrace that carpenter tag. What do you think of his ability as as the new coach at FC Leopards? And what's your take on Kim's departure?
When I start with Patrick, I think when you go through his CVs, he's handled some of the best teams, best in our level. I mean, you can compare KPL with the teams that Osams have coached, maybe in France and every other places that he's gone. Maybe our level, the Simba level that he was, or just the other day. So when you're going to coach teams like Black Leopards in SA, those are big leagues. So he's not a bad coach going by his CV. We all saw what he did at Simba and stuff. So the way Victor says, I think it's a nice choice for them. At times, these community clubs, I think maybe they're just obsessed with these European coaches. And it's not an obsession of sort, as people want to put it. I think for a club like Gor Mahia and FC Leopards, for them to thrive, there has to be a bit of professionalism. And at times, I think our coaches lack that. There are a few coaches in this country that know that do their things in a professional way. So hiring Patrick is not a bad choice for FC. My only problem is when you're going to get into a team where you have a coach, like Victor says, who understands the team, who has been with the team, played for the team and stuff. At least he has a lot of in-house information that might help the guy who is coming on board. So it's a loss for Patrick if it's true Modo is going, because he was getting someone who understands the team perfectly well. But again, Modo leaves the likes of Tom Juma and Loudon Swebo. Those are guys again who's been with FC for some time again. There are people who know the club in out. I hope they help him because I think they'll need it. I think Patrick will need it. We know the politics about these two of our biggest clubs in the country. When you're going to get into a team where you don't have the support of the people you find there, then it becomes a little bit difficult to work. On Modo leaving, I think I talk about it on Twitter, and I was told that I have emotions about Modo and stuff. I don't know where that notion is.
I can guess it's Victor or his friend who are telling you that, right?
No, it was not Victor actually. So I don't know where the emotion is coming from. I don't have any affiliation with FC Leopards, but I think when you're going to find a coach who knows what he wants, coach who has a direction of where he wants to go to, I think apart from coaching in any other human being, when you have someone who has a stand on the things that he wants to do in life, I think that's a plus for them. So when I was engaged in some debate with a section of fans, people who are close to the club, they're saying there's this notion that they were doing Modo a favor. You see, when you look at Modo's papers, I don't think they're up to date. I think it doesn't have the perfect requirements for a coach who should lead a team in CAF competitions. So they felt by Modo leaving, they still have Tom Juma who has the papers and stuff. And I asked if they'd seen all this before Modo left, and it was a debate that went back and forth, back and forth. For me, it's a good decision for him. I heard that the club wanted to take him for some coaching courses. I don't know how far that has gone. And I hope, because I rate Modo, I read a lot of, I believe some of these local coaches can actually match some of the best we have around the nerve of challenging themselves. I don't think our local coaches challenge themselves that much. When you're going to speak about people like Kitambi, just neighbor in Tanzania, this someone has come here, coached FC Leopards and stuff, and he did some good work. So it's something that's very possible, but I don't know the fear that some of them have. So for me, what Modo has done is perfectly fine with me. That's an opinion. I don't have to be right. I tell these people every other time. It's a perfect thing for him. Maybe he has his plans, and I hope they are good plans, not just for FC Leopards, but for the Kenyan soccer in general. There are rumors flying around. He might be at Mathare or Kariobangi Sharks. I don't know where those are coming from, but I hope that his next step will still be in football. And I would want to see Modo have those papers so that he might come back and help us football-wise in the country.
Victor, is there anything you would like to clarify, especially regarding Modo's departure? I know that's a very sensitive topic that anyone touching that then must bear the brunt from you. Is there anything you want to clarify in regards to his departure, or do you want to take this opportunity to just wish him the best wherever he's going? You know, we can't keep dwelling on that particular topic.
No, I think we wait for the official club statement. We have a new coach who is in the house. We want to welcome the coach with the most peaceful atmosphere. As you know, we are a peaceful environment, though very competitive. Most of the time, you see there's a lot of demand for result. We're a club that likes to really pride ourselves in all that we have. And so far, the work that has been done by all the technical team that has been with the club all this period for the last 2-3 seasons has been exemplary in trying to rebuild the culture of the club. So anybody who's been through the system has really played a big role. So for any other extra or high level communication, it's too early in the week to debate. There's always rumors around Leopards, whether it's from fans, whether it's from a signing, whether from a coach. There's always something people like, and people like Zax. I trained Zax to create news. When I got Zax to be a sports journalist, I trained him to make news. So he's just doing the right thing in creating news. So Zax has every right to join the debate. And you see that conversation is what brings about the vibrance. For me, I'm always happy when my brand Leopards is out there in the news. You can always be excited. Whether you write negative news or positive, I don't have a problem as long as a certain line is not crossed. So good coverage for us, Zax. You can continue, man. This is exciting.
Guys, too much of that. Mod is my personal friend, and I like the progress he's made. He's a good coach. It doesn't matter where he goes, and we are all happy when former players now get back to the game and succeed. The storyline has always been former players languishing in poverty, and it's not like they're really excited when covering such stories. When a former player is succeeding as a coach or in any aspect of the game or in business, we are all happy. So much of that, we wish Coach Modo all the best. We come back to the game now, Zax. Who was your standout player in the Mashemeji derby?
First, I'd go with Fabrice Mugen. I don't know why people have not talked much about him in the game, but for me, I think Fabrice did well. You see, in the first half, as Victor said earlier, I think they came with some diamond formation just to lock Gor Mahia out of the game. And I think he was the chief orchestra in all these things. In the second half, I think they changed a bit of their formation. Mugen still stood out in position. I don't think he missed the pass to staff. So for me, Mugen did well. For me, he was the standard performer. But you can't take away the efforts of, I want to mention a few players who I thought did well too. I'd start with the young left back Bandi from FC Leopards. I think for a young talent like him, just to be thrown into a game like of that magnitude, you need to give him some credit. When you're going to hold people like Samuel Onyango and maybe the likes of Clifton Miesu because they were changing wings regularly, I think you have to give him credit for that. We've seen young players do that, not that regularly, but in instances. You can, when you talk about better wing-back or stuff, the likes of Badi at KCB, when you're going to get to a stage of that magnitude and give such a performance, then you deserve a part of the back. I think he is giving FC Leopards another option in that position. And I foresee a bright future for that young lad. On the other end, I think Geoffrey Chiang did well, much to the amazement of so many people. I think he did well. In those breaks that Leopards had, actually, he joined in attack, delivered some good crosses, and when he was needed to defend against Leopards, I think he was at the rear to do everything that needed to be done. So on the Gor Mahia side, I think you have to give Geoffrey Ochieng some credit. He's not a player who so many people like in that club, but I see when one gives a performance that deserves mention, I think he deserves some credit in that. So I think those are three players who, for me, stood out in that game. But I'd go with Mugeni as the topmost cream in that Nini.
Yeah, well, he had a good game, and I agree. It's really funny to see that the three players you mentioned that had a good game all come from FC Leopards. Yet Victor keeps bashing you on Twitter that you have green lenses. So for you,
I'm
Victor,
telling you. I'm
it's good to
telling
see
you.
that Zax is objective. At least he mentioned what he saw, not what you guys think that he supports blindly.
Yeah.
For you, Victor, who was your standout player? And please don't wear blue lenses.
No. Actually, you see, this match was about who becomes sober tactical, who takes his position much stronger and plays it. On FCTV, we voted Fabrice Mugeni because of how he adapted to the change of style and his movement. And but now I see Bandi had a good outing considering young. At his age, he's very young, and it's a story. You know, you have to go back to George Blackberry Odhiambo to see a similar player turn up to the derby and light it up with this performance. He took out the whole substitution for the forward line that Gor Mahia made. Bandi was able to handle all the experience they have. On the Gor Mahia side, I think I have somebody who I really expected to really get into the match and really flop, but he surprised me was the defender Juma. I really expected him to really panic. So he somehow managed to get his footing and got his tackles right, save for one or two, but his positioning improved. He's one person I thought we would maximize on as a weak link. So I would single him out because actually he's the Gor Mahia's weak link. If we just didn't, our formation, if we had done the same thing, more of attacking, we probably could have taken more, but he stood out well. He was able to handle both Shaka and Austin very effectively. So his performances were good.
I was actually coming to Andrew Juma's
It was one
performance.
player who stood out.
Zax has really been on his case, and to be very honest, he had a very good game. Zax, what would you say of Andrew Juma's performance? And it's under a new coach who really doesn't know these players, doesn't know the politics around the club as yet. Do you think now it's Andrew Juma's chance to cement his position with Shakava coming back to the team allegedly? Because as I was speaking to him earlier, and he said there's no agreement in place with Gormaya at the moment. He's just weighing his offers. But with these players, you never know. From experience, probably he's already signed a contract at Gor or at FC. You would never know. They are very good at PR nowadays. So you
No,
never know. But
he's not signed anything at Leopards.
you just never know. You just never
Victor,
know.
you can give a statement on FC Leopards signings, but you can't tell us where Modi is going. Victor, come on, man.
Yeah. So anyway, back to the point. Back to the point, guys.
Yeah.
Zax, what's your take on Andrew Juma's position? Do you think this is a chance for him now to cement his position at the heart of defense?
Yeah, I think Juma is a good player. We all saw what he could do at Madara United, and maybe when during in trainings, I think he does well. Maybe he's not just used with the pressure of handling Gor Mahia games, but he's one player who technically is one of the best defenders we have around. And the main reason I've been on his case is because you see when you're going to get into a Gor Mahia team, and he's been playing without fans. Imagine if he had fans. So I was telling a friend of mine that if Juma had fans around him, then that not a number angeshakuwa shanyang'anywa, because the pressure that comes with playing for these two clubs is not just any other pressure you get from any club. At Madari, you'll do mistakes and get free with them, but at Gor and FC Leopards, are things that they won't allow. So he did well yesterday. As Victor said, I didn't expect him to do that well considering the magnitude of the game, but he's slowly gaining confidence. I think from the last game that we had against Bandari, there were some easy goal I think Bandari scored, but he stood his ground, he's dust himself, and maybe the notion that he has that Shakava might enter might have spurred his performance. I don't know about that, but these things happen in clubs. So when you're going to see your position is threatened and stuff, I mean, as a player, you just have to up your game. So maybe I think the threat that Shakava might come and take his place is something that might have shaken him a bit and forced him to up his game. I don't know about Shakava and stuff, as you've said, maybe signed contract, as I signed the contract or not. And maybe these are things that the new coach knows. So maybe the coach too tells him that, I mean, you are the person I have here. There's no one else who's here. So, I mean, just give me the performance that I deserve. If Shakava comes, we'll see what to do. But again, it's another option for them in defense. And you have to give it to him. Yesterday, I think he did well in instances that FC had the ball against Gor Mahia. So you can't take that away from him. I hope he builds on that. And he can become the Roma we knew at Madara United.
Well, and for you, Victor, you mentioned that the tactical brilliance of Leopards locked out Muguna completely. We are all in agreement that he's the best attacking midfielder in the Kenyan league at the moment. Why do you think he did not rise up to the occasion against FC Leopards during the derby? Is it solely because FC Leopards came now to block him? And I saw you tweeting, I think it's yesterday or today, that he was all over the referee. What do you make of his performance?
No, there was only one tactic which Gor Mahia came into the game with, and that's Muguna's strength. Win free kicks in dangerous areas of the pitch, which they did that very early in the half. I think the referee was too carried away in the early minutes of the match, awarding very soft free kicks, sometimes, and cards, especially to our players, which really destabilized the confidence some of us had. So apart from floating in free kicks from speculative angles and corners, we managed to put him out of the game. Yeah, he's a good player. He's a good player and a dangerous one in a match if you give him space and if you give him time to think and dictate the game. Yeah, but you see, for the best thing about a derby is let the best players not dictate the ball nearer the dangerous zone. So if we can float very free kicks from far off wide, those can be dealt with if as long as they're not within a very straight line to the goal. And that's what we did. You saw what he did against Bandari. The Bandari were they exposed themselves by letting Muguna have almost 10 or 12 free kicks in a match. He's going to score, he's going to influence the movement of the match. And for us, when we came in, we knew that the match, Gormaya's match and creativity revolves around Muguna. So you just need to ensure that you reduce his movement, reduce his ability to enjoy the match. So he can go collect the ball from the central defenders, move around with 100 passes in less dangerous places, and I mean time goes by and he gets frustrated. You saw that, and
Yeah,
that is what happened.
definitely. Guys, I have good merchandise here, you see, courtesy of the show sponsors Mozart Bet, the Kakamega Homeboys jerseys. I have two of them today, and they fit so well. They're very comfortable. So I've just asked a question on the Facebook page for the lucky winners. Keep answering. I'll pick the first two. Give us the correct answer, and you will be lucky. You'll pick your jersey tomorrow. Victor, now moving forward, the FC Leopards are just a minute. I think sixth on the log now, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they're actually fourth on the log. Gormaya is
Fourth.
We
actually
haven't
sixth.
dropped our position.
Yeah, they're actually fourth on the
Yeah.
log. What do you make of your season so far?
I think our season is moving on fine. We took off well, had a bit of shake up when Coach Trucha left because of the long plan of the season. Then we had Duncan Otieno, who was supposed to be around. That departure also affected the long-term tactical planning of the team. But the rest of the lads have really taken up task. You can see with the young players really turning up like Bandy and the others. So far, apart from that dramatic loss against Western Steamer, which I think we shouldn't have dropped points on that particular day, we we switched off at the wrong time of the match because Steamer came in and decided to park the bus for 94 minutes. And when they made one counter attack from a corner, it really messed up the team. And that happens. Even if you're going to be a champion, there are those moments when you'll sleep. So far season is okay. The losses we've suffered, even against Wazito, was just a bit of tactical discipline because if we just failed to utilize one or two chances. But you can see when the way we played in the derby, because you approach one match at a time, no disrespect to any opponents. And this is the kind of attitude that you're seeing the boys are giving. So we're not far away, 2 games in hand with the leading team. So if we are able to maximize on them, collect the maximum points, and try to win as many games as we can, it's a season that is an opportunity for us to recover some few messes which you've had. 2012 and 2013 were seasons which you would have easily won the title, even 2014. But, just tactical indiscipline, a bit of slowness here and there really cost us. And it takes a long time again to recover whenever you are close to the title sometimes because rebuilding a squad is tough. So far, so good. And I just hope that we can keep this momentum going and avoid dropping more points, crucial
You,
points.
it's too, I don't want to say it's too early into the season, but do you think you have a chance of winning the league?
Each team, when the season starts, always believes they win the league. So let's count the title at the end of the league. We need to compete as usual because that's why we have 13 titles. We have a lot of cups. We don't go into tournaments because we don't want to win. We're in the league because we believe we can win. and we strive every season to get all the trophies at hand. So this one is no different. I believe the guys, the team, everybody around the club is really putting everything in order, from the players to the coaching staff to all the staff around the team, just to ensure that we are comfortable and are able to compete effectively for this title. So count us in the race for the title. But just like everybody else, there's no underestimating. This title is not going to be easily won. It will have almost 5 or 6 teams going up to the last 3 or 4 weeks, when now it could be separated.
Okay. Zax, for you, Gor Mahia are sixth now. At least they face, they'll not be competing in the league this weekend. They face NAPSA coming weekend, but they are sixth, and they're the defending champions, and they don't look like the Gor Mahia we are used to. They're not really as strong as they were before. Do you honestly think they can challenge for the title now that at least they are picking up? Do you think they have what it takes to, to win the title this season?
First, I think they still have a shout for the title. You see, when you're going to talk about the Kenya Premier League without Gor Mahia, then I mean we don't have a league. So I think teams like Tusker, KCB, and Wazita have taken the advantage of them not being in form. But you don't want to see Gor Mahia get back stronger, because these are teams that can string more than 10 wins even in a row. So it's too early to call, as Victor says. And I don't want to believe they'll change midway through the season, because right now Gor Mahia has constituted, I don't think they can challenge properly for the title. The coach, I think, still doesn't know what he wants or stuff. But I'm glad for the past 3 games has maintained a perfect squad. That's with the likes of Alpha Onyango starting in midfield. That's one player that I think has a bright future too. When we're going to talk about Mbadi, I think we need to talk about Alpha too. And he's given him that chance in midfield. See, when someone like Alpha is going to replace a foreigner like Confo, who's just been signed from I don't know which club, and that tells you about his abilities. And I'd want to believe that the signings that they're going to make before the current window closes will give them the impetus they need to challenge all other these teams. Because when you look at a team like Wazito, you see Kimanzi is going for players he knows can do the work for him. When you're going to have a player like a City in your team, then that tells you Kimanzi has seen what he wants in his side, so that he can add 1 or 2, 3 people to just complete the jigsaw for him. Matano is doing well too, and I hope he'll maintain that. You can't underrate Zico too. He has some of the very best players in the league, actually. And Leopard's been doing well too. So if God doesn't change, I think this is a season that they might not just win the title. But other teams, again, should be wary. If this God side gets his act together, where we know these are the players that are going to start games, players who give their all in games, then I think other teams should be worried. People are talking about this being the worst Gor Mahia team, and they are just, I think they're just 3 points behind FC Leopards, who they say are doing well. They're just 10 points behind Tusker, who are the leaders. So you can't say, no one can write them off just yet. If they can just get the act together, I think they'll have a shot at the title.
Well, Victor, so much for that. So much for Mashemeji Derby. 11 rounds into the new FKFPL season. What do you take of the management of the league so far? And like I mentioned, we've covered the league when it was nothing. We've covered the league when it enjoyed the most success and resources. And now it's a new dispensation in governance of the league. The federation has taken over. Now 11 rounds into the FKFPL maiden season. What are some of the things that you've seen probably they've improved, and what are some of the things that you think they need to improve on?
So far, I think matches are being honored. The worry would be, are teams turning up to play matches? This is happening. So as long as we're able to handle, the times are different. There's COVID here. It's tough for some of these clubs, especially these big teams in the country who are used to ensuring that they make revenue from the
Fans.
fans and the like.
Yeah.
It's going for like 1 year without fans is not easy, especially for a club like Leopards or Gor Mahia, who majority of the revenue comes from match attendance. You have to rely on one sponsor and maybe a few more well wishers. So far, the league is good. It's competitive. We're going to see quite some competitive action. My desire is that we get our groove and maintain touch and with the current top. Maybe the thing that we should look out for is perhaps it's time these matches we avoided a big gap between some teams who have played only 3 or 4 matches, then others have played almost 10 matches. We just need to ensure that most teams play catch up. These gaps are close so that we get back to the competitive nature. Sometimes when you're alone at the top and you've played more games, you now start to maybe worry so much. Or if you have so many games in hand, you can get too much worried also, or get carried away. So that's something that we might not expect. You saw in Tanzania there was a game where Simba had almost 10 games in hand or something. 10 games in hand against other people are ahead of you by around 12 points or 15 doesn't mean anything. And they were able to utilize that. So just maybe that big difference because of some teams got into the league late. But so far, been some good action. I don't watch too many other matches, unfortunately, because we are always working on our games in-house. But I've seen the matches that I've been able to follow on start times have been excellent for some of the teams. It's entertaining football. Maybe our players are just good at playing when there are no fans. It seems to be the thing that has been accustomed. Maybe a majority of the people should not complain that there are no fans and just watch the matches on TV. It's strange. It's strange.
For you, Zax, I saw you complaining just before the derby that you could not access the link anywhere, you could not watch the game online, despite the fact that you were promised that we will now pay, I don't know if it's 20 or 200 shillings to watch the game anywhere. So far, what's your assessment of the FKFPL games on start times? What has been your biggest challenge?
The challenge, I think it's on the links. The other games, I think most of the people have watched them through the links, and he said I think there was a problem with the app, maybe on my end, because I'd accessed it, I think 2 hours to the match just to ensure that there's no hitch, because it was not a game that I was willing to miss. So maybe there was a hitch, or maybe it was just my phone and stuff. But a lot of people complain about that. When you're going to use the links, I think they ask about calls and stuff. But I think it's some tedious process for them. So if they could do that, if StarTimes is hearing me, this is some free advice to them. I mean, if they are going to hear me, I think they should make that easy to access, easy to use, because not so many of these people would want that entire process. You know very well that most Gourmet and FC Leopards will to just go to stadiums and watch games. If they can't do that, I mean, your work is to make the aviation to be easier for stuff like that. I don't expect to go to a link. I mean, nieke code and another 5 minutes again, I've been told to just prove the code again. I mean, it becomes boring. At times, I mean, most of the people actually watch the games via live score, which is not a good way of watching games. Then, apart from that, I think their broadcast is far much behind. You find you're on flash score, you are on 20th minute. On start times, the game is around 17th minute or 18 minutes. That's again something that they should work on. People are celebrating goals on the other end. You don't know even what's happening on your end. So they should do more about it. I know that a lot of things that happens to the streaming and stuff, the broadcasting. It's not my area of specialization, but I think they really need to work on that. I do not want to celebrate a goal after Jeff has celebrated a goal like 2 minutes earlier. That doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, on what, apart from the stadiums thing and stuff, I think I need to load FKF on the social media bits. I think KPL has been vibrant on social media. When you go to Facebook, YouTube, there are clips of goals, there are clips of assists on the games that they're broadcasting. Twitter, I mean, it's a bit more vibrant than what we had last season. And if they can build on that, if at all they can maintain it and then make it better, I think it will be some perfect thing. Another thing I think they should do more is they don't have so much news. I mean, the post match and the stuff. A lot of people just come there and say, "Oh, what did Pinto say about the derby? What did Modo say about the derby?" I mean, I think they take a lot of time in updating such things. But on match reports, they're always on point. Like a match ends in the next like 5 or 10 minutes to find a report. But what happens after that? I mean, if I'm going to check on a website and find there's just a report, that's something I can even see on Flash Score or any other app that updates scores. You get scorers and and every other thing that happened in the game. So they need to give us a little bit of certain things that we can't get anywhere. So that's where the interviews come, the players come and stuff. I mean, if they could improve on that, I think they'll make a great deal. We're not seeing walkovers, as Victor says, so kudos to FKF and the clubs. Much credit to the clubs for doing that. At least there's some level of professionalism too in how people are running things. And my only worry is about the media tags and stuff. I know maybe we should not talk about that, but there's no way you are going to block a certain section of journalists not to access stadiums when we have more than 100 fans in the stadium. Yeah, fans spice up games, but you need to tell your stories. If you're not going to tell us about what people said here and there, I mean, there are people who are there to collect that. I can go to Star or Citizen or Mozart, read stories about what happened there. So that's all in the spirit of promoting the game. If you go and promote the game, I mean, just give every other person the liberty of promoting the game. Fans promote the game in their own way. Journalists promote games in their own way. Stakeholders promote games in their own way. I think people shouldn't be gagged from promoting your products. When I'm going to get a product and get more people to promote it, that's better for me. And I think it's one area that FKF should work on. Yeah.
Victor, for you, like Zach said, he's not an expert on matters broadcast, but I know this is your area of expertise. So far, what's your take on this whole times FKF deal? I know probably you wouldn't want to jeopardize your future chances of probably working for a big telecom like StarTimes, but well, we have to talk about these things. Guys are struggling to watch games on the StarTimes app. People don't want to buy 3 extra decoders. You know, you have Suku, you have DSTV, which shows almost every Kenyan league. But now you are forced again to buy this StarTimes decoder. And if you don't want to do that, then you have to go through a very tedious process of registering through the StarTimes app to watch these games again, sometimes in a hang, sometimes iko nyuma, even 3 minutes like Zax tried. What's your take on this whole issue?
I think what we can say is the ecosystem around digital preparedness for our league. The current broadcast deal is anchored mostly on the digital platform, digital market space, and that's why you find StarTimes are really pushing the app. You can see what we've been doing. We're really trying to get into the digital space and also push, which we started so many years ago. When we started some of these things 10 years ago, when we started Kenyans around 2009, when I was starting that project and doing a lot, it was very demanding. These are the visions that some of us, but you know, we are in a different climate. Currently, at least the system is opening. What I think StarTimes can do is to improve on that. For me, so far, apart from 2 games, as a club, we've enjoyed most of our matches are on TV. I just think that the numbers are not good. For maybe as a system, the whole ecosystem needs to work on pushing numbers. We in a country of 40 million people, you cannot only find 10,000 viewers or 15,000 watching a match. Something has to be wrong somewhere. So if we can push more subscribers, let's have more incentives. If it's pay per view, even if it's 10 shillings, 20 shillings, whatever it is, let it be easier to subscribe to these matches. I saw what some startups did. They gave us all the league matches with 700 shillings. Maybe on the phone, the app is fine. Let it be easy for people to also watch on their laptops,
Yeah.
on other
Yeah.
platforms. It's even much better. I see the NFL has a similar arrangement where you pay, I think, nine cents to watch the NFL almost the whole season. It looks stupid, but if they get 100 million subscribers with $1, that's 100 million shillings, $100 million to the league. That's a lot of money for NFL as a production. It's the same thing which you're doing at FCTV, which people are calling Ingwe TV. We're trying to model along that, and we're trying to connect, because Zach says we don't have interviews, we don't have those kind of side shows. That's what makes news. And so the clubs as well as the whole system has to enable. It's just that when now clubs are getting structured like FC is, it's not easy for the way things used to be long time ago, where you would find somebody popping up with a ridiculous story in the evening, in the morning it's being defeated. That kind of disorder, is something that brings our clubs to disrepute and really brings down the value quality, as Zax is saying. You're not sure which story is real and which story you can take a line with. So we have a story now. If you now want to cover, if you want to do something for Lewis Bandy, there is now content to talk about Bandy beyond the match. His coverage, 3 or 4 matches he's been on, so you can describe his style of play. So it's something that can be positive. My desire would have been that 80 or 90% of the league matches are on TV somehow. It doesn't matter which platform. There would be 2 or 3 other broadcasters who can maybe pick the main games, others pick the fringe games, because definitely a Leopards game, a Gor Mahia game, maybe a Tusker game, Sofapaka, Madare, those could be high value games, Kakamega Homeboys. Then we have other teams, not to disrespect them. You might find that their numbers are slightly low because they're still growing clubs. Even despite them being very vocal on digital spaces, they still have some way to go to really catch up with brands, because the older the name, the easier it is to sell. So we can improve on that. I've had conversations with some of the people who are connected to the broadcast, just to share with them my ideas with them on what we'd like to do. The response has been positive, and I believe we can get much better. My only worry has been something to do with storytelling is what we need during matches. I believe that's something we can work on as a league in terms of how we bring out the stories. Some of the stories we tell maybe are slightly older than they should be told at that particular moment, because you cannot keep telling people older stories while there are present people playing. You have to catch up and give the most recent story during a match. That's a bit of correctness. If you talk about Bandy, we know we need more Bandy. We need more about the young players who are around. We need about the others. That's more recent. So the stories that we're having around the match, commentary, we can improve. I think we have a broad spectrum of commentary that can be worked on. There is English, there is Swahili. Um, there has to be a bit of standardization on how we want to really communicate in a way. I've been told that I'm a bit discriminative, but somehow it helps define where we want to go. It has to be clear on which path we want to take and see how we can segment the communication. So if that can be a bit more clear, it helps. I will not go away without mentioning the unfortunate events I saw online.
Yeah, I was
There are 2
actually
sides to look at it. There's a bit of bullying. There's a bit of bullying on it on one end, because that's pinning the guy. Then there's the positive side of because there's trolling, but I've seen the team that has been doing this. These are mistakes that are made consistently for the last 1 month, since they started rolling out this, because there's a way which these 2 systems can be interconnected. There's something, that quality is very crucial. The kind of people you have around to disseminate news. Match build-ups are times to teach people more about the game, bring people into the system, not to give what we call hyped opinion. Unless you're on FCTV where I will lock out the opponents. On another platform, it's very hard for me to be very biased. If I'm biased, let it be very known that so and so is biased. So how do we use this media space to bring in former players, current players, the kind of people, and not just the same faces. There's a lot of faces that are there because we can risk creating cartels. When I got Zax to come and write stories for me, he was a very young boy. In the current Kenya, nobody would have given him a job because there are other better writing. There are people who look like they had better writing, but he had a passion, and Zax has grown from writing. He writes authentically from his heart. So if the people are going to lead on the storytelling for our football, whether you are doing pre-match, post-match, commentary, let it be something that is factual, statistical, that encourages people to know who is Jeff, where has he come from? Jeff has been like this, he's been here, and then that's what I would just like to be improved on. It's not exciting to see what happens. And unfortunately, it will take a bullying angle, but I hope the people involved don't see it as bullying. They see it as a lesson, and they do not punish the young people. Maybe the mistake wasn't theirs, but the whole system sits down, they evaluate themselves. If they need help, we are here to help. Don't. Sometimes it's not good to ignore people who've been around for some time. Just engage, get ideas, and because you could say a wrong thing, you could say wrong things, you could prepare wrongly. Our team works so hard to prepare graphics for matches. If you're going to use my graphics that my team is doing for free, sometimes it's good to give me credit, Give my team credit for the kind of work they're doing. Reuse content and push each other. We have these platforms like what you're having. Let this kind of content be looked for where it can come up on an interview somewhere else. If FCTV has done something good, if other stations, if other clubs have done something, how do we put a story around the league? That's how I would like to see things happen. I don't know what's Zach's opinion on this.
Zach, for you, I know you're one of the guys that were really vocal about what happened, and it was really unfortunate to see, guys analyzing the Mashemeji derby while wearing jerseys for foreign teams. And like Victor said, it's actually not their mistake. It's someone who put them there, dressed that way to analyze those games. There's a producer behind that show. I wanted to say that probably they were looking for cheap guys, but Victor, you know me for very long. Zax as well knows me for very long. I'm a champion for young guys getting these opportunities because I'm not old myself. And if someone did not give me this opportunity, probably I would not even be having this platform right now. I will not be having guys watching my show right now because they're doing that because someone saw the passion that I had for the game and gave me an opportunity. If I did not have that opportunity, probably I'd be wasting away in those Mukuru slums or somewhere in Kiambu, but someone saw the good thing that I had and, molded me to become what I am today. So I'm very passionate about young guys getting these opportunities, but kindly let us direct them in the right way. It's not their mistake that they were on national TV while wearing, I don't know, Bayern Munich tops or whatever. So the guys behind these shows need to be
but
at least serious.
Jeff, sorry to cut you short. I intentionally cut you short so that we can have a point. When you're going to attend to a certain event, don't avoid unnecessary cheap publicity. Even if you want to look sporty, you can still look sporty in a blouse if you're a man, But don't go looking sporty in a foreign jersey, pushing another brand for international clubs. But when it's time to put on FC Leopards sponsor, you tell me, no, you need to cover that sponsor as we go for this match or for this analysis. I've seen this in most of the interviews all over, where even production strategically blinds certain brands not to be seen in the name of hitting back. But they're okay in having the kind of nonsense which we saw, where guys can sit down and advertise brands that have never even dropped a single cent in the local game. Not one. A single cent never dropped, not even in a CSR in our game. But you give them extreme visibility. That was very bad, and I think the young men involved should learn that. They should learn to dress for the occasion, and the rest of the people involved also should. They owe us an apology. They owe us an apology as a league, and we're expecting something, some communication from them on this that can really show that, 24 hours down the line, and there's not even a simple regret on what happened, just shows how probably some people probably don't take our club serious or our brands.
Well, for you, Zax, in very brief remarks, because we are well past 1 hour now, uh, what was your whole assessment of the situation?
I think it's something that I've always been vocal about on social media, though it's brought me loggerheads with people who think these are normal things. I mean, they call them normal, but I've never seen these things as normal things. But I think this stems down from maybe the leaders we have. The other day when you saw the Gor Mahia treasurer attending a team's event in a Real Madrid jersey. So when someone else is going to copy that, I mean, they've got it from somewhere. You don't just wake up. Even them themselves, if you're going to get into a show, there are days when people get into NTV for this Mashemeji derby analysis. But then, even at Citizen, the likes of Mike will tell you we are analyzing a derby. So if you don't have a jersey of a Kenya Premier League club or for the Gor and Maya and FC Leopards game, then they'd give you T-shirts for their brand, something of that sort. Because there's no way you're going to analyze a derby in such a way. It's disrespect, the way Victor says. Then maybe they don't know the magnitude of the thing they're analyzing. And as you said, maybe they'd gone for cheap guys, which in the long end is not always advisable. I mean, we have a lot of people we have a lot of players who've played the derby before. Besides of James Tumo is just running around, Ronaldo. There are a lot of players who can analyze derbies. I mean, there are people who knows what these games are about. And the way Victor says, it's all about content. Those guys first, they were in a very, very wrong attire. Then the content they were analyzing, sorry to say, but was crap. There's nothing that they were analyzing that was out of the norm. So these are the areas where when you're going to get former players who played in the derby, or the players who've not played in the derby but have been around KPL for some time, know the effect of the derby, its benefits and stuff. Those are the people that should be brought on board. I was very disappointed to see that on social media and stuff. And so was everyone who has Kenyan game at heart. I'd be surprised to see Real Madrid, someone who's analyzing a game of Real Madrid magnitude, entering a game maybe in a Gor Mahia jersey. You'll never find that happen anywhere. So these are basic things. You don't need to go to some class of a sort to be taught certain things. I mean, it's a brand. We are promoting the KPL brand. You coming with a brand that's not even helping the Kenyan soccer in any way. I mean,
no.
It's not making sense. And these are not the things that maybe should be. I mean, you just sit down and say, this is wrong. There's no day, Jeff, you'll come out in a Man United jersey in a stadium watching a game, and I'll be surprised if you did that. I mean, apart from us, I think any other normal human being should not do that. So, Jeff amepotea ama nimeona nini?
Ni Victor amepotea.
Yeah, so I don't think that was worth it. And apart from that, there are errors that people have always done, maybe the graphics and stuff. I don't know why we as journalists are always afraid of appreciating each other's work. If I'm going to pick a story from Victor's end, the least I can do is just to credit him. If I'm going to pick a picture from Kelly Ayodi or Mad Good or Vincent or any other person who takes photo, I mean, the likes of Ish Jenga were doing well in the game. I mean, the least you can give is to credit them. This goes to the players who ask for photos and stuff. If you can't pay us, I mean, that's the least. That's how you promote your brothers. I mean, we are all in this just promote the game. I'd not want you to pick my story. Kila siku nabishana kwa social media umeiba story yangu. Wewe mwenyewe umejua umeiba story yangu. Kwa nini tubishane? I mean, I see Guardian credit the Athletic. The Athletic credit, I mean, Daily Mail. I mean, that's how we should be working. People are so concerned in breaking news that when I write a news that is authentic, they must go around and still do their things. When they're not going to get the story, they still write the story, but fail to credit you. I mean, it's not just right. I mean, I think that's an area that we should work on. And maybe we are churning out. There are a lot of I don't want to call them gutter because they say I disrespect some of these websites. But you see, Jeff, in your school of thought, when you came with the ranks that you came through, me, I came through Kenyans, and thanks to Victor and the likes of Samuel and Mulemi Gregory who gave me this chance. There are things, I mean, we were just taught. I mean, there are things, you can't do. There are just things you can't do as a journalist. I mean, there are a lot of groups that come up from KPJ and stuff. People just pick things and just post them there without credit and stuff. It won't hurt if someone knows Jeff through someone. He grows his brand. And that's how we should work as a people. So whatever those kids did, I want to believe they're kids. But whatever they did was wrong, and they should be told so. So we still waiting for communication from the BDTV area. If they are very serious about that, I think they should offer every other person who watched that game an apology, because that was uncalled for.
Well, too much for that, guys. I beg to end this show here. But I would like Victor to give his final remarks, then I'll go back to Zax. And Zax, don't be like that. Dan Chikanda, when he gets the mic, he says, I will only have brief remarks, then he goes ahead and speaks for 3 hours. So, Victor.
That's Victor's boss, man.
Victor, very briefly, what will be your final remarks in regards to Mashemeji Derby and Kenyan football in general?
Victor,
I can see the. Let me just improve my lights. I'm back. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So in summary, great match. Tactically on the pitch. For the fans, I know you expected fireworks. One of the things that is challenging now is I can tell you people don't no longer watch football to enjoy what's happening on the field, because these chess games have always been there since time immemorial. Sometimes with goals, sometimes without goals. There's an aspect nowadays of where people have now placed money on certain outcomes on matches. If you want to bet on matches, be very careful not to bet on the teams you support, because you're very disappointed sometimes, because it's, football is not a game. I see people talk so much about match fixing and the like. No, sometimes when you go to watch matches live, there are those star instances where you see like, this is football, everybody's out to move their game. It's tight, it's complicated. We go to matches with emotional excitedness, and the match yesterday was tactically, both teams had their own weaknesses. It was an excellent match, but for us, we avoided defeat since 2017, which at least we kept a clean sheet. We haven't scored. So it gives us a much better opportunity to prepare for the next phase with Law, because I know we will keep getting better. If Silapo is a stronger team in the second half of the league, normally, especially towards the end. So we will be in until the last minute. We're not giving up on this one. And for me, the derby was fine. I just feel our fans maybe deserve to get to the stadium, but you know what? If you are at home and you can still tune in, it's safer. It's safer for the team, for the players, because what guys forget is if one player has COVID or 2 or 3, it just will turn the whole league into confusion. So these kind of things are what fans should also understand. I know we talk about politicians having fun while we can't go to the stadium, but the main stars of the game are the players. Those people turn up at the stadium, that group of people on the touchline. If something happens to them within those perimeters of the field, it puts the whole league into challenges. So great game. We are around here. We're waiting now to, we would have won the Betway Cup last season had it not been for COVID. We were on form. So we hope that we can start off our challenge. We go to Wendani. It's a good opportunity for our other players who have not played. Leopards has used around 27 players so far this season. If you go and check the statistics, almost 26 players have already played in the current matches. I think this has not happened with another club. Out of our squad of almost 30 players or so, already nearly the whole squad has had a chance to play on the pitch. So it's positive, meaning that we have an able squad. So when we go to Undanyi, we hope we can pick up fast in that section and see 3 more matches, 4 more matches, 5, and we might be in the final of the Betway, going to CAF or lifting a double at the end of the season.
All the best, Victor, in that. Those are good plans. I hope at least you get to win one of those 2 cups. Like Zax said, when FC Leopard performs, then it's good for Kenyan football. You know, we don't want a situation where only one team is dominating the local game. I'm actually very happy to see Tusker now back in the frame. I'm so very happy to see KCB trying to challenge for the title. You know, that's good for the Kenyan game. We don't want to sit at our desks and just predict that that's an easy win for Tusker. We want a league where even the small teams can challenge the big boys, and that is what makes leagues like the EPL very fascinating, and you get even more fans now watching the leagues globally. Because when a team like Wolves, for the lack of a better example, is beating the likes of Manchester, then that makes for a very exciting league. So again, gentlemen, I'm very happy that you honored this invite. Zax, your last remarks, and kindly be brief.
Yeah, Jeff. So far so good. 11 rounds. At least the league is very unpredictable as at now. That's all we want to see for our league. I just hope every other team gathers pace. I've seen Mathare win today. There were 2 games actually today. Mathare won, Ulinzi drew, and I think Mathare will want to pick up because they're not in a good position currently. So if you can find teams like Mathare who are the lower end of the league rising up, I think it will even make the league more enticing. Another thing that Victor said was let the federation try to get teams who've not played their games to play the games, because this gap, you see, when we're going to have Betway this weekend, and we have 7 teams in the KPL that are not playing in that competition, at least they should get involved in the league so that we find a level where every other team played the same number of games. So far, so good. I hope to see more of that in the coming games. And every other analyst, people are promoting the games. I mean, just support each other and stuff. This is our game. We still do it. I know there are challenges. And hopefully by the end of the season, we'd be speaking about an improvement of what we had in the last season. That's my parting shot, Jeff.
Asanteni sana jamaa. Hopefully tutakutana kwa field this coming weekend, and enjoy your evening.
Okay, you too, Jeff. Thanks for having us.
Thanks.